Hey, yeah, what's up? This is Disciple Marcello Occurrence from Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-telepathy all day, anti-America all day, and everybody with them. Yeah, so we established in the other three videos basically this American Illuminati. That's not even. It's not even considered by me, and people that really know the history. That's not considered authentic. Uh, Illuminati. It's not considered that. Adam Weishaupt didn't have the same principles, actions, and there's nothing they really can say and justify or say or do. It's nothing they can say that would justify their whole different navigation outside of how Adam Weishaupt navigated. It's nothing they can say. You don't have to debate with them. You don't have to talk to them. All you got to tell them is, look, y'all, your American chapters are outside of Adam Weishaupt's visions, purposes, and you can't just take over a group and call yourself that group, whether good or evil, saying that you're that group and you don't have the same practices, perspectives, and beliefs and activities. You're basically in essence redefined outside of that group. You're not defined as that group. You don't have the same definition as the Illuminati. And that's the difference between the German Illuminati and the American Illuminati. And so what we have is here, particularly with the Illuminati in America, so-called Illuminati, is people that took the name and used it almost as a terrorist would use it to install fear in people and to install intimidation in people. That's all they did. They just basically pimped the name. There's really nothing that's like the German Illuminati. It's nothing like by principle that is similar between the two. And I would say basically because of what you've done, gang stalking, all of that, that basically is too much of a contrast, I believe, for you to even be calling yourself this group, the Illuminati that Adam Weishaupt started. So basically, you robbed this man. Americans robbed this man of his group. That's what they did. So now I challenge the German Illuminati to see that they're not holding to the principles of Adam Weishaupt. Look at what they're doing and see it for what it is. It's nothing but Americans. That's all it is. They have robbed this man, Adam Weishaupt, of his organization's name. That's what he's done. That's what they have done here in America. And all it is Americans. The problem we have in this country, in this world, is Americans. And this is the last straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, American Christians, they're not even really the full, and not all of them, but on the average, a lot of them are not even anywhere near practicing intense principles of Christianity. The full intense principles. Jesus Christ said he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. American Christians are not diligently seeking God on the average. Ask them how long they fasted. Ask them how long in their life, in their whole Christian life, how long have they stayed in the presence of God, worshiping God? I guarantee you, both of those answers are on the average, is under 3 hours, under 3. 3 hours in God's presence, 3 days of fasting. That's all they've done. And they're barely doing that. They're barely doing that. So I'm showing you how this rogue American people They call themselves American, but they're not really American. By principles, they're not American. You know, they are the problem in the world. Whether it's some con preacher trying to con you out of your money, that's American. Or Illuminati offering you some type of success when they can't even guarantee you that, especially now with COVID, that's American. And we sit there and guarantee nobody success and fortune and fame. He did not, nothing near that. That's what I'm trying to show you. It's a whole different situation. And I would even say that even the Freemasons are probably different here in America than they are in the rest of the world. They probably are. They're probably nothing like Freemasons in, let's say, Scotland or somewhere over there, Ireland. You know, probably a whole different ball game. What people need to understand, and I'm glad this is coming up, is that America really is the problem. It's not white people. It's white Americans. Boom. It's not white people. You can go to Russia and white people are cool. You can go to Europe and white people are not racist. It's white Americans. You see where I'm going with this? It's not white people. It's American white people. It's not Christianity that's bad. It's American Christianity. It's not Illuminati per se, that's the problem. It's American Illuminati. I showed you right there. 3 different situations where American is the problem, you guys are not able to really discern it and see that for what it is. It's not white people all around the world. White people, it's racist American white people. Okay? For the most part, there's a distinguished difference between white Americans and Europeans all over the world and everywhere else. As far as racism goes, as far as, it's an American problem. Same thing with Christianity. Christianity in Africa is a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. You can't do nothing but respect them. But Americans here, conning you out of your money. I'm not saying that you don't give to God's work, but there are cons. We can agree. There are cons that are out there after people's money. And that's American Christianity. That's the greed. It comes from this greed American mentality. And so that's applied to Christianity, manipulating it. Okay? Same thing with Illuminati. Offering you fame and fortune and all of this. This is all American principle. All American, negative American principle. Same thing with white Americans. It's only here where they want to go around lynching and hurting people that's black. You don't really, it's in other places, but we know that it's worse in white America. Whites are worse here than anywhere else. Can we agree with that? Can we agree that whites, Europeans, are worse and they make other whites look worse than they really are? They're worse than anywhere else in the entire world. I think so. We can compare histories, but as far as longevity and all of that put together, the whole longevity, consistently, white America is the worst type of Europeans, people of European descent that's in America. White Americans. So it's safe to say, for me to assume that, man, it's a lot of bad examples of everything coming from this country. Everything. Blacks, Africans, some will say, you know where I'm going with this? Some will say the Africans here, African Americans are the worst Africans in the world. But it's because they are American. It's because they are Americanized. You don't have no problems like to this degree between black people hating each other at each other's necks consistently. Nowhere else in the world do you have Africans acting like the Africans that are Americans. You don't have any other country when Africans are acting like African Americans. It's an American problem. The worst Africans are Americans. It's not a matter of opinion. I'm talking about perspective, deaths. That's what I'm going by. Consistently. The worst white people are also American. And I can kind of almost go ahead and say that the worst kind of Christians are also American. Come on now. It's stuff that goes on, but consistently, I would have to say American Christians are probably the worst on average. And that's not meaning they're doing some hideous things and all, principles, how they seek God, how serious they are with their walk with God, how diligent, emphasis on diligence. Their diligence is the lowest as far as their Christianity probably anywhere in the world. So I'm showing you, and then Illuminati, last but not least, they are the worst example of this group here in America. So it's safe to say it's an American problem we have here. Whether it's the black people, whether it's the white people, whether it's the Illuminati, even Christians. It's an American problem. It's the Americanizing of human beings in the world, in this community, that's the problem. That's why the first thing you have to do as a Christian is become un-American, un-Americanized to a real degree. I mean, you're becoming like Christ. Christ was not American. You gotta get all of this Americanizing, negative Americanizing energy out of you. I'm talking about the big stuff. I'm talking about sitting up and watching 13, 15 hours of crazy stuff on TV. You got to get all of that out of you. That's what I'm talking about. So basically, man, this is basically what it boils down to. You got to get the perspective that, okay, let's separate these people that call themselves Illuminati here in America. Let's abstract them from the Illuminati group and handle them as Americans. These are nothing but rogue Americans that took advantage of this group and conned it, just like a bootleg preacher goes and uses Christianity to con and get money off of people. These are nothing but cons, and the problem is America. That's why I showed you already where there is the expiration for this country, which is 40 states allows children to have sex. Some of you are going to stand with gay people all your life, but you can't stand with 40 states allowing children to have sex. Your culture does not teach this. Your culture does not teach this. Your culture teaches, only adults should be having sex, and no adult should be having sex with anyone that's a child. That's the nail in the coffins. I don't have to say anything else. So the expiration is already on America, and has been on America. America has already, from the time they did all that, it was already declining. We didn't know it. But now you know. So this is why you even gain straight, whatever creed you are, you can't stand with America that contradicted itself in its community through its politics. none of these presidents, have changed the 40 states allowing children to have sex. This is what they have known the whole time. These are the people you have voted for the entire time of America. You didn't know this, but you were voting for people that did. That's what I'm trying to show you. This is the expiration of this foolishness. The problem is Americans, and that's what we got to do. We got to realize this is who the empire that has to fall. It's not so much of an Illuminati problem. It's not so much of a black problem, African people problem. It's not so much of a white problem. It's an American empire problem. Because they set up an empire based on consuming things, consuming music, consuming foods, consuming TV, consuming everything. They just made a culture based on consumption. Okay? They made a whole culture based on consumption. That being said, greed came in and corruption came in with that perspective. This is why it failed. This is one of the reasons. And like I said, 40 states allowing children to have sex, the morals are out the door. The morals are gone. I mean, well, let's put it like this. The America that you thought you stood with or that you thought you knew, you now have to, it was never real. On top of that, they have now starting to break, and I'm doing a video on this, like I said, they're starting to break constitutional rights of Americans. Anytime they're doing any foolishness out there, and they don't have any legal, tangible evidence of you, they don't have any evidence of you doing an operation, some physical operation, then they're breaking your constitutional rights. I don't care what they suspect. If they don't have any tangible evidence of that suspicion, then they're breaking your constitutional rights. I can suspect anything of anybody. I could do this. I could go suspect that this person is this or that or the third, but if I don't have any tangible evidence of real-time definitions of what I'm suspecting this person of, things, real-time activity that defines this person in this particular definition of crime, then I'm out of pocket. That's breaking constitutional rights, and they gotta die. I mean, if it's done on an extreme level, what can you do with people? I mean, come on. I don't know. I know that this empire has to fall. You know what I'm saying? Because it's too late. The arrogance has been the drive, and no one cares that you're American. In fact, I'm more American than you are. You don't hold the same principles as the founding fathers of this country. Therefore, you're not American. You made up your own rules along the way, broke the Constitution, and if you were really a person that was skilled and powerful and mighty, you wouldn't have to break the Constitution to perform your job. If you're the FBI, wherever you are, if you were really skilled and competent as an FBI agent, you wouldn't have to break the constitutional rights of any Americans. You should be able to do your job, in other words, whether you're a cop, FBI, military, or even black community, white community, you should be able to do whatever you do without breaking somebody's constitutional rights. Because as soon as you do that, you don't uphold the perspective of an American. You don't uphold the perspective of the Constitution. So now you're just like what? Another third world country running around here with doing crazy stuff. You're the nature, in other words, by principles and by activities, real-time activities, you're now the nature of something else outside of the Constitution and outside of American perspective, and that cannot be considered an American or an American operation. It's rogue people. There are definitions to define these to everything. There's definitions for everything under the sun. That is not American by definition. Boom. That's not Illuminati by definition. You guys got to understand that. People are giving you the same definitions, fooling you, hiding behind old definitions of institutions, systems, groups, etc., even people, African Americans. African Americans don't kill people. You have to redefine who they are. I'm being 100. Europeans that came over here and upheld the Constitution are a different definition of people, white Americans, racist white Americans, that are doing all that they're doing. They're not the same definition as the people that came over here initially. I'm not saying they were right, but the constitutional rights that they established, these white Americans don't uphold these principles. Therefore, they are in need of new definitions. African Americans, I'm sorry. You're not like Martin Luther King Jr. You're not like Malcolm X. Okay? And that's not because you are a warrior. There are people that are warriors. Sometimes I listen to hip hop and I listen to it as war music. Foundationally. It's like war music. But some of you don't even practice the same principles as the rapper. You're on a whole different level of ignorance. You're not a gangster. We got to redefine you. We got to give you another definition. You are not a gangster. You're going around killing people, but you're making no money. You're not making any money. You're going around killing people. You're just a zombie. You're an ignorant zombie that like to smoke weed and drink. You're killing people. You ain't no gangster. How are you a gangster? You have no gangster activities. How are you a dope dealer, a drug dealer, when you have no drug dealer history at all? Some of these guys never sold crack. But you got a gun and you go shoot somebody and you shoot an innocent kid. You are not a gangster. We have to give you a new definition, and sooner or later, you by the stockpiles are going to be destroyed. You are a new definition of Africans. You're not an African American. You're not upholding laws. You're not doing things that African Americans did, like Martin Luther King Jr. That is an African American. I gotta keep it 100. Because the Illuminati in America, the black people in America, the white people in America, the Christians in America are all hiding behind definitions that they're not actually defined by. This is the problem we have. And they're all rogue. Black people rogue from what Martin Luther King Jr. want. They rogue from what Malcolm X want. White people are rogue from people that came over here and established the Constitution. Christians are rogue from what Jesus Christ taught. Christians are rogue from the full gospel, the full word of God. What you have is a whole bunch of formerly American individuals. People that don't even deserve to be called American. Rogue citizens here in America. And I'm going to do a video about this. Okay? But you got to stop letting these people that call themselves Illuminati that's going around gang stalking people, all in the supermarkets, all in the stores, all in these, everywhere. That's what they do. That's what you are experiencing. A lot of people don't know that. They setting up witches and warlocks and telepaths. That's all American Illuminati. There was no witchcraft. You didn't have wizardry, no satanic cultic-like spirit, energy within the group, the Illuminati, by Adam Weishaupt. Okay? They dumped Gothic into the Illuminati. They dumped satanic culture in the Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt was not a Satanist. Adam Weishaupt was not a Satanist. Okay? There was no. This was not a group of wizardry and satanic cult stuff. They need to name themselves the Satanic Witch Telepath Cult. That's what the American Illuminati need to do. That's who they really are. So you can see the real definition. That's what you American Christians are experiencing. You're experiencing so-called American Illuminati, which uses wizardry, satanic cultic rituals. That's all satanic. That's not Illuminati. You see the difference? Adam Weishaupt was not a satanic cult. That part. I'm trying to get you to see this. Because what you have is Americanized people, rogue people that took this name and just dumped Gothic, satanic stuff, wizardry, voodoo, hoodoo, telepathy, Santeria, all the divisions of witchcraft. They put all that in there and call that Illuminati. That's not Illuminati. That is not Illuminati. That is cultic, satanic witchcraft, telepathic, psychic, and that's the organization it is. So they need to come up with some other name and stop jacking Adam Weishaupt's name. Stop jacking the group, bruh. Biggest copycats in the world is American Illuminati. You ain't nothing like the Adam Weishaupt's group. Biggest copycats in the world. They jack the man's whole group, man. He be rolling around in his grave seeing the stuff that you're doing here in America. That's all I gotta say.